everyone. Let's start with our today's lecture. Types of knowledge. Objective and subjective. Well, all of us know that there are two different worlds. There are two different worlds. The external world and the internal world. And each one of these two worlds has its own reality. And this is what we are going to study and to analyze in today's lecture. Right? When we talk about the things, the knowledge about the external world, we're talking the things associated with personality. And we form our personality copying, imitating others' behaviors, our parents, our physical family, our neighbors, and so on. Alright? During the second analysis of our today's lecture, we'll analyze the thing about the internal world, which is totally different of this one. When we talk about our internal world, we are talking about consciousness. Alright? That's very important to understand also. Now, talking about the external world, we think that because we can touch the different things of this physical world, of this material world, we know them. And for sure we accept them as the reality in our lives. Just because we can touch them. We can see them. That's why we believe they are real. What we don't understand, what we don't realize many times, is the reality that every single thing here in this external world, in this physical world or dimension, all things pass. Right? And in fact, people pass, no matter who the person is. Constructions, buildings, it's exactly the same thing, pass. Animals, pass. Right? Talking about this subjective knowledge. When we talk about the external world, at the same time we are talking about subjective knowledge. Subjective knowledge. Right? Continents pass. All here in this external world is an illusion. It's illusory. Because they belong to the matters related with personality. That's why it's something subjective. Things that probably, or for sure, we already learned in the university, high school, primary, and so on, many years ago, several years ago, are already changed. They are not the same as you or me already learned. Alright? Everything related with personality changes. Right? And when we talk about the thing of the external world, yes, personality, let's put it clearer. We are literally talking about social rules. Yes, our constitution, the things about our social rules, depending on the nation or country we live. Social rules. We're talking about, yes, religious concepts. We are talking about fashion. Right? We are talking about accepted behaviors, for example, as well. Right? And many social rules, also religious concepts, already passed, and they were already changed. Probably not all of them, but yes, many of them, at least several of them. Right? That's why it's something subjective. This remains back in time. Alright? Many things that were taught to us many years ago were modified, and they are not alive anymore. Right? There are two types of personality. Active personality, active and passive personality. Most of us all around the world have the active personality. Only working with our own objective knowledge, because the previous information we've been giving here is related only with the subjective knowledge, will probably become this personality in passive one. And it's one of the goals if we seriously want to achieve, to deserve the self-realization of the inner being. To become the active personality in a passive personality, which is the personality of the ego. The passive personality is the personality of the inner being. The active personality is the one of the ego. And that's only possible through the work, through the practical work in the three factors of the revolution of the consciousness. Our personality hypnotizes us during each one of the different human existences. And even if we like all these specific esoteric topics, if we don't practice them, it's not possible to change internally in an objective way. This is not about theories. When we talk about things of personality, we like to read a lot, we like to accumulate theories, to create new concepts, only to believe or not believe. But only for practitioners is the objective knowledge, right? All this information is only associated with subjective knowledge, right? In the cup of the mind, we put and we accept different type of values, theories, ideas, concepts that probably many of them we haven't proved. We only repeat and imitate all those social rules, concepts, laws, values in our intellectual center, right? The things about high school, university, PhDs, primary, etc., etc., etc. And all these matters hypnotize us. All these things. And maybe we die deceived due to the reality that many of these things haven't proved by each one of us. Alright? Necessary to believe all those concepts about education we have. Current education all around the world doesn't work. If we talk about the creation of good, correct, decent human beings, this education doesn't work. Except like cases, for example, in Finland, Germany, Denmark, and Japan, talking about only the first years of a study in primary, the first grades. The rest of these education systems don't work. Right? And probably yes, we may have professional success in our careers or professions, the ones we decide to study, but internally we are a failure. In our current education, for example, we don't work we don't talk, excuse me, we don't talk about meditation, sexual alchemy, and how to, for example, put working in a correct way our chakras, objective anatomy of the physical body, etc., etc., etc. We only receive intellectual information and that's all. And all this belongs to that called subjective knowledge. I don't know if right now we remember all these drugs and alcohol processes that are a reality in the restrooms, public restrooms, or restrooms of private and public schools and universities, for example. That's a reality. Right? Those processes of sex, all those processes of sex, yes, in the restrooms of thousands of public and private schools all around the world. It is not something only in Europe, South America, Asia, etc., etc. No. This is unfortunately something that is happening all around the world. So is honestly working our traditional education to create new and better human beings? For sure, no. This type of subjective knowledge atrophies our brain, our mind. These external influences represented in those external impressions, visual impressions, etc., etc., are not creating a new and better society. Firstly, no matter what, is our internal life, our spiritual life. Yes, we need to produce money. Money in this planet is important. We should continue paying bills, food, clothes, going on vacation if possible. Yes. For sure the answer is yes. But when for us is first material things, the things about appearance, personality, the things about the ego, all these social religious concepts that we haven't proved, at least not for now, we are only repeating, copying, imitating others' behaviors, others' ideas, others' theories. We are not ascending, we are not growing spiritually. Right? Now let's study, let's analyze a bit the things about the internal world. Yes, the reality of our internal world is totally different, because here we talk about the consciousness, about the inner being, which is something that never changes. It's eternal. No matter what, our inner being won't change, no matter what. When we talk about consciousness, at the same time we're talking about wisdom. That objective wisdom, objective knowledge, is something that is inside of us. We do have our essence, our divine spark. That for now is the 3% of consciousness. 1% representing the inner father that has the wisdom. The other 1% is represented by our divine mother that has the mission of deleting our psychological defects with the inner investigation through self-observation. And the other 1% of this 3% of consciousness is represented by the psychological coach. That esoteric part called the Son. Father, Mother, and Son. The other 97% of consciousness is trapped, bottled inside of our ego, which is formed by all the thousands and even millions, in some cases, of psychological defects. It's something with urgency to release the other 97% of consciousness, which is trapped here, to make the transfer to the origin, to create, to form our soul. Right? Greeks said something to us probably thousands of years ago. Man, know yourself, and you shall know the universe and its gods. And it's something to take in a literal way. Literally, we do have our own wisdom and objective knowledge. Because it's the knowledge of our own inner being. Though the 97% of our own being is trapped inside of each one of our psychological defects. Right? The word knowledge, we talk about knowledge here, the word knowledge comes from the word know. If we don't know what we've been saying, affirming, we don't have authentic and real knowledge. We are only repeating others' ideas, others' statements, and even others' behaviors. But we haven't created our own objective knowledge. To know something literally, objectively, is necessary to prove it first. And to prove something, to achieve our own understanding, our own knowledge, is necessary to practice. Because only practice makes perfect, and only practitioners practice. And only practitioners deserve authentic knowledge. Practice what? Yes, the reality of the wisdom currently trapped in each one of our psychological defects. We've been sharing during all these lectures since more than 1 year, almost 1 year and a half, something called psychological death. Psychological death. It means the elimination of each one of our envies, prides, lusts, rancors, resentments, fears, traumas, hates, greeds, gluttonies, thoughts, lower emotions. That's only possible through self-observation. Man, know yourself, and you shall know the rest of the universe and its gods. How is it possible to know ourselves? Okay, let's start the observation of our own inner processes to start the knowledge of oneself. And don't forget never, as soon as you detect your fears, this is the sixth sense of this current mankind. Through this self-observation, when we discover our fears, ideas, subjective ideas in fact, envies, prides, theories, if we don't forget ourselves, if we don't forget our divinest part, and we ask to our Divine Mother to delete, to eliminate immediately, mentally from the bottom of our hearts, all those rancors, hates, fears, all those intellectualisms, all those rancors, resentments, angers, worries, as soon as we detect them, through the self-observation, through our own self-observation, we'll feel the change immediately. As soon as we detect any type of fear, for example, my Divine Mother, please delete me this fear, we'll feel the immediate change. If we feel that we are controlled by pride, lust, rancors, etc., and so on, please remember the inner petition to your divinest part represented in your Divine Mother, your Devi Kundalini Shakti, which is the same Divine Mother, and your own Divine Mother, your particular Divine Mother, will cure you, will release you from all those negative creations. We are the only responsible for the creation of our own ego. Ego is the guilty for all the entire sufferings all around the world. And at the same time, if we delete our fears, angers, and so on, we'll release the opposite version. And we'll put it, this divine essence, this divinest part, will become bigger and stronger. Thanks to the practice of the psychological death, the practice of the elimination of our own psychological flaws. This is something with urgency if we seriously, honestly want to change our inner and external world. If firstly we don't change from inside, we'll never see a different society. Never, ever. The second factor is the revolution of the consciousness. Yes, to practice, to prove, to develop our own objective knowledge, to achieve, to deserve, to develop, to possess our own wisdom is sexual alchemy, or also called spiritual birth. Transmutation of sexual creative energies only between a man and a woman. It's only possible. Sexual alchemy between a man and a woman, transmuting their own sexual creative energies. To do what? To create the 5 inner solar bodies. We release daily, hopefully from instant to instant, or at least as much as we can, the essence which is trapped, bottled, in each one of our psychological defects through self-observation. That released essence is going to be put vertebra by vertebra in our dorsal spine all the way up. And gradually we'll be creating the 5 inner bodies to have authentic representation in the higher dimensions of the universe, in the superior dimensions of the universe. Alright? With the creation of each one of these 5 inner bodies, we'll integrate the being and the authentic, objective knowledge. The unique way to know if this is true is going to the practice. And the third factor is the sacrifice for mankind. It's spreading all this knowledge. Without exception all around the world, to every single human being, or at least as much as we can. Spreading of all these teachings. To achieve, to have our own spiritual dharma, which gives us our inner impulse. That inner strength to continue with our own self-realization, but at the same time helping others to deserve it, to achieve it, to seek it. Let's talk about a little bit more about the objective knowledge in the superior dimensions of the universe. Right? We do have 7 consciousness, but they are in embryo. We haven't created yet. They are, yes, those 7 consciousness, they are inside of our ego, of each one of our psychological defects. When we learn to create ourselves, we go developing each one of all those consciousness. Solar physical body, the consciousness of the solar physical body. When we regenerate our solar physical body, we'll know objectively the 3rd dimension of the universe. The 3rd dimension of the universe. Actually, currently, we do have the physical body, but in a state of degeneration. If we regenerate our physical body working practically in the 3 factors of the revolution of the consciousness, psychological death, spiritual birth, and sacrifice for mankind, the spreading of all this knowledge, of all these teachings, without exception, it must be free, totally free, without justifications, without excuses of asking for any money to anyone, will regenerate our solar physical body to know the third dimension and to achieve the objective knowledge about how the third dimension is. Solar vital body. With the solar vital body, we'll know the fourth dimension, genus paradises. Fourth dimension, genus paradises. Right? Instead of repeating what others have said to the rest of the mankind about this fourth dimension, it's necessary with urgency to develop, to achieve our own objective knowledge about how the fourth dimension is. Solar astral body. Regeneration of the solar, of the physical body, regeneration of the vital body, that magnetic field that all of us without exception have all around our physical body, the aura, right? But it's necessary to regenerate it, working with the elimination of the ego, to make it brighter, and working with sexual alchemy to make it bigger, and internally, divine hierarchies and our own inner parents and our own divine inner being will guide us, will lead us in all that process, vertebra by vertebra, night per night. With the solar astral body, if we create it, the creation of the solar astral body, it's mandatory to know objectively how the fifth dimension is. And will travel to any single planet of this entire universe, to any single galaxy, solar system, literally. We'll go consciously, for example, if we want, to the divine court of the divine law, to know the different judges of karma, to know the highest hierarchy of the divine court of law, of divine law, called Master Anubis. And it's possible to negotiate with all of them different things about our life and even others' lives. If we develop, if we release the wisdom, the consciousness to go over there to the divine court, which is located currently in the fifth dimension, it's possible to achieve great things with them, working consciously with authentic wisdom. It doesn't have price. The other one, solar mental body. Solar mental body. Right? We'll know here the world of atoms, and we'll extract their wisdom, the wisdom of our own atoms, with the creation of our own solar mental body. This is the second floor, the mental world, second floor of the fifth dimension. Fifth dimension has two different worlds. In fact, it's necessary to clarify, to have it clear, when we talk about the fifth dimension. First floor, astral world. Second floor of the same fifth dimension, mental world. To go to the mental world is necessary to create the solar mental body. The same as with the astral world. The creation of the solar astral body is mandatory. Alright, next body. Is the solar will body. To go to the sixth dimension of the universe. Right there, we'll know the electronic worlds. Electronic worlds. Instead of continue only reading others' ideas, others' beliefs, etc., etc., we could achieve, we could deserve, and in fact, we could get the authentic and objective knowledge about that incredible sixth dimension of our own universe. The more subjective education, the more intellectual education you carry, you achieve in your life, the more difficult it is to achieve your own self-realization. The less intellectual information you have accepted in your brain, in your mind, the easier is to achieve your own self-realization. Also, it's possible to know the planets of the Christ. What has been, what it is, and what it will be. In that sixth dimension. Next one. The other one, we could hear about the Buddhic body. These are the 5 inner bodies that we already talked previously. This Buddhic body is already created, but we don't have the right to know it, to touch it, to use it, unless we create first these inner bodies, working with the elimination of the ego, sexual alchemy, and the spreading of all this knowledge all around the world, or at least as much as we can. The body is already created. Alright? We'll know someday, hopefully sooner than later, the electromagnetic worlds. The electromagnetic worlds. True happiness. Second floor of the sixth dimension. Sixth dimension has also 2 different worlds. The electronic world and the electromagnetic world. Here it's possible to feel what it is, the true happiness. Next one, atomic body is already created as well. Atomic body. Will merge into the ocean of light. Without these 7 bodies, without the usage, consciously, with wisdom, thanks to our own efforts, it's not possible to know the universe and its gods. And it's not possible to know ourselves. If we make the mistake of not creating all these inner bodies, we'll never change radically and seriously. We won't have objective knowledge. We won't have our own wisdom. Only with personal efforts and conscious sufferings, and this is only possible for practitioners, will release our whole consciousness. That 100% of consciousness is inside of each one of us to achieve, to deserve authentic, objective knowledge. And that's only possible thanks to practice. Alright? The word knowledge comes from knowing. If we don't know, we don't have knowledge. Yes, firstly, know ourselves. Let's know ourselves. And gradually, little by little, grain by grain, we'll be knowing the rest of the universe. The rest of each one of the dimensions of our whole universe. And for sure we'll know the gods, the authentic divine hierarchies. Because we can become ourselves a hierarchy, a divine hierarchy. But that's not possible if firstly we don't delete our own ego. And also, if we don't practice sexual alchemy with a person of the opposite sex, it's not possible to develop our own consciousness entirely. Here we need knowledge, because we are only repeating what others have said. We need wisdom to help others and to help ourselves. When we have our own knowledge, it's absolutely possible to talk about our own knowledge. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And if there is any question or doubt about this specific topic, just let me know, please, and I will respond to you shortly. Bye.